Hello, my friends. Welcome to the fifth of our Lenten devotions this season, looking at the hope that we have because of Easter. I want to talk about a very tangible hope that we have today, a very flesh and blood kind of hope that we have. I don't know about you, but I have noticed over the years that my body is not what it once was. I've been trying to go to the gym a little bit lately, and I've got aches and pains, and I don't have the endurance that I once had. As your body gets older, things change, and not always for the better. As we think about that, and we think about our bodies, what does Easter have to do with that? Go back and think about what happened on Easter morning. Jesus came out of the tomb. He was raised to life. He showed himself to first the women who came to the tomb and then to the disciples alive. And he showed them in the flesh that he was still in a body. They didn't always recognize him right away because there was something different about him, but he was, as Thomas found out, very much physical. I think that's one aspect that we sometimes don't think about a lot when it comes to the hope that we have. We talk a lot about spiritual things. We talk a lot about going to heaven when I die and our spirit is with God, and this is all true. What we don't always talk about is the real physical, bodily hope that we have because of Easter. Remember, when Jesus rose on Easter, it wasn't just his spirit. He wasn't an apparition or a ghost. It was his body. He was physical. He showed himself to the disciples. They could touch him. He ate with them. It was a real physical resurrection. And the ascension sort of brings that home. He didn't just evaporate. The ascension, where they actually stood there and watched him as he went up into the sky, I think Jesus was making the point that he was still physical. Granted, his physical body is a little different. He is God after all, and God took this physical body up into himself. So there's a different dimension to his body than to ours, but it's still a real physical body. And still today, he's in that body. His body still exists, flesh and blood. That's what he's chosen to do. Christ came to redeem us, and he came to redeem our bodies. Remember, God made us. He created us. He formed us out of the dust of the ground. He made us physical. We're intended to be creatures with physical bodies. And part of what Christ accomplished was saving this physical body for us so that we can enjoy it not just for a few years, but so that we can enjoy it eternally. Scripture makes this point. We don't talk about it very much unless you come to a funeral or a graveside service. Then we make this point all the time. We sometimes read a verse from Job. Job that lost everything, and in the midst of that despair, he cries out, "I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand upon the earth. After my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh I will see my God." Job's hope wasn't simply a disembodied spiritual existence with God somewhere in the clouds, but that at some point in his body he would see his Redeemer. Paul talks about this in 1 Corinthians 15. I won't read the whole chapter. You can go read it yourself. What does this mean for us, though, today? I think sometimes we get too wrapped up in the spiritual things of our faith, which are true. But our faith has a real specific physical dimension to it as well. Jesus' body coming out of that grave was important for us. It tells us that he has redeemed our bodies as well. Part of God's plan from creation is for us to live in this creation as physical creatures, enjoying the bodies that he made for us for eternity. So what we do with them as we think about an eternity with our bodies, what we do with them now is important. No, it's not maybe going to make a difference whether or not I jog this morning, but this body is important. This body is holy. Christ has redeemed this body. And so how I treat it is important. How I behave with my body is important, because this body has been redeemed by Christ. It's not something that we simply get to throw away. It's not something that will be done with when we die. That's one of the reasons why Christians have traditionally been very careful about how we deal with bodies after death, because it's not something that we simply throw away. It's something that, in the end, at the resurrection, is going to be raised again, just as Christ was, out of the grave, so that we can exist with God in the body eternally. Our bodies are important. We are whole people, spirit and body. I want to leave you with that today as you ponder and think about what it means to be God's embodied people, and the fact that Christ has given us hope now, even for bodies, especially when they are full of aches and pains and things. He has given us hope that He has redeemed our bodies. God be with you. We'll talk again next week.